This is the Jug O Sip podcast.
The Wild and Wonderful Whites of West Virginia is the family of Jesco White, who is the dancing outlaw. His father was D. Ray White, who is a former dancer, coal miner, who basically D. Ray White was a badass motherfucker that I got some mad respect for. He fucked that system back hard.
Let me talk about
Yeah,
D.
you
Ray.
like the business side of this, so you share that.
Real quick, for those who don't know, I'm from New York. My voice, I have a little bit of a weird southern accent to me, so you
might catch it.
It sounds like I'm not, but I'm from New York, so I didn't grow up around people like that. So when I saw this documentary and it got to the part where they explained D. Ray, I found him very interesting and fascinating because essentially they talk about one part where D. Ray, as a coal miner, very blue collar job. Blue collar job. Blue collar job. D. Ray figured out the Social Security system so well that he basically found a way to get Social Security checks to his family for, like 5 generations?
Some motherfucking shit like that. The thing about the White family and D. Ray is D. Ray was in the motherfucking mines working, and he's just sitting there one day and he's like, you know what? Coal mining sucks.
Yeah.
My family's going to have to do this for the rest of their life, and they're going to have to scrimp and save.
Right.
They're probably gonna starve to death if I don't fucking do something.
Right.
The system fucked them because they had him on that weird Bitcoin coal mine currency.
Yeah, really quick. Let me
segue from that.
Just segue. Apparently, according to this story, when you worked as a coal miner, you didn't get you already paid very low, but they basically created a form of slavery. It's very Rick and Morty level slavery, where it was slavery with extra
steps. It was an entrapment situation where you cannot leave.
Essentially, you were paid in, what was it, skit or
scrip?
Scrip. It was scrip. They paid
and it was worth 30 cents to $1 or something.
Right, they paid you in scrip, and essentially it was a coal mining based cryptocurrency that forced you to only spend your money.
Their stores,
they paid you.
On their product.
They paid you, and then you end up spending the money they paid you on to the
you
same
give it back
people
to them.
that paid. They
might as well just keep your check.
With the cryptocurrency.
Because aside from they probably gave you cash enough to pay for your house or whatever. Unless, I don't know if they had coal mining houses too. I mean, this was a whole thing that was keeping these people trapped into these jobs for generations.
And that's crazy to me, but that's essentially the conditions that D. Ray was living in when he came up with this white collar scheme, this white collar crime scheme, where he said, if I just manipulate the Social Security service, I could get checks for everyone in my family basically forever, and all they have to do is continue this debaucherous lifestyle that makes them look poor enough for the government to pay for them.
Never leave their fucking houses that they lived in for generations. Don't really dress fancy. Don't act fancy. But the thing is, the White family didn't want to be fancy.
Right.
That's the thing. That was the beauty of their whole thing. That whole lifestyle might not work for everyone else. So while we look at the White family and everyone's like, yeah, they're crazy. Yeah, they're literally white trash. Yeah, they're this, they're that.
They're literally white trash.
They're criminals. In 3 ways, they're literally white trash. You know?
Because their last name is White.
They are white.
They're white people.
And they fit that definition. But it's not, I don't say that in a hateful, mean way. It's just the acknowledgement of their truth.
No, I feel you.
But they found a way to be happy.
Choice of words.
And they figured out a way to be happy and thrive in the system.
Okay.
And fuck the system so hard that they were set for life and they didn't have to give a flying fuck about anything. So while we acknowledge that the White family is absolutely crazy and weird and all of this shit, and they are deeply flawed, let's acknowledge something good about them for a second. They are fucking geniuses for the most part.
Yeah, that was
not on a surface level. If you look at them, you're like, wow, look at these redneck inbred people who can't read kind of level. But that's not true at all. Below the surface, they have this weird existential intelligence.
Yeah,
especially with Jesco.
They talk about this in the beginning of the documentary.
It was really interesting.
Right. In the beginning of the documentary, they talk about how these people are not educated, but they're clever. And
they're good at what they do. They're like savants.
Right. And it's fascinating because you live long enough in life and you realize that there's a difference between education and intelligence. And because one of them is formal and the other one is informal. That's all it is.
If you were like us and you weren't good in school, you learn really quickly that you can be smart.
Well, I was pretty good at school. You can find the Jug O Sip podcast on YouTube and Spotify every Monday and Friday.
And don't forget to share, subscribe, and follow at Jug O Sip Podcast on all social media.